Okay, we're live. Good afternoon. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Anna. Where are you?
Hi, I'm in my office and I'm actually doing something cool today. But hi, everyone. I'll tell you what it is. This is live with Jim and Anna, and it's Friday, so happy Friday. Where are you, Jim, these days?
Well, I'm in Camarillo, California, which is south of Santa Barbara, but my next two appointments are in Camarillo, so that's why I'm here.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, you're on my side of the country, so that's good. I need some support here. But what I'm doing today actually is using a new medium called Periscope. And so what Periscope allows you to do is not only we're doing this show using Google Hangouts, but there's another medium, and it's called live streaming. So there's a whole bunch of other people who can listen to us talk and submit their comments and suggestions. And so I'm trying that as well as what we usually do. So we'll see how that goes. So you'll see me moving my phone in and out a little bit, but it will not interfere with our conversations.
And
So
remind people they can put questions in the chat box.
that is true. So if you're watching us live on your YouTube channel, on your screen at the left-hand side at the bottom, there should be an option to ask a question. So if you click on that link, and I'm ready and set up to listen to your questions. So you can go ahead and do that. But we've got some questions that we want to discuss ourselves. And so, Jim, I think I'm going to let you go first.
I'm first. Well, okay, Anna, I'm going to ask you a question then.
No, I'm going to let you answer a question first.
Oh, you can let me. Thanks, Anna. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, so
Go
why
ahead.
not? Why not? So here's the question. So, Jim, we're going to start with this one. How can I save for college expenses besides a 529 college savings plan?
We get asked this question frequently, Anna, and I remind people of the Roth IRA solution. And Roth IRAs can do two things. They can help people save for retirement with after-tax money that is never taxed again as long as you have it 5 years and you're 59 and a half or older. However, there are some options that you can take out the deposits that you made without any tax consequence. You have to leave the gain inside. And that could be one of the ways that you help fund college or other financial goals. But they do allow for distributions on Roth IRA for qualified education expenses at the college level. There's an IRS publication on it with a lot of details, but that's the Roth IRA solution. You can either take out your deposits with no consequence and no monitoring, or if you take out your deposits and some or all of your gain, then it has to be qualified education expenses. And there's an IRS application on qualified education expenses that will detail what is and what is not. And there's some controversy over a few things, like it used to be you couldn't buy your student a laptop computer. Now you can. You currently cannot pay for trips home as a qualified education expense, but there's some discussion about changing that too. So it's a moving target as far as the exact rules, but it is a good way to fund college education if you have abundance of retirement money, and you can use part of your retirement money for education of your kids in college. Okay?
Sounds good, Jim. Okay, so I am ready for my question, I think. And I've got three people watching us on this other medium. So hi, guys.
Great. Up Periscope. Okay.
Periscope, yeah.
Anna,
Yeah.
here's a question for you. How can I take advantage of a health savings account now for purposes of medical expenses down the road in retirement years? For example, if I was going to retire at 55 or 60 and needed to pay for health care until I qualified for Medicare, I also need to think about our 1-year-old child and my wife When I'm 55, they'll be 9 and 48. And that means many years of health care for me and others. Kind of a long question, but how about giving us some details on a health savings account?
Right. So health savings account, right, Jim? We're really becoming more interested in helping our clients with this question. So health savings account is actually designed to achieve what this client is asking. So how can I take advantage of this account now, and what does it do, and how can it help me pay for medical expenses in retirement? So the way it works is it's just like an IRA account where you can contribute a certain amount of monies every year, and that money grows it grows tax-free. You receive a deduction in the year that you contribute, and when you take money out down the road, it comes out tax-free as well. So there's 3 advantages in doing that. Now, there's one requirement, is that you have to have a high deductible health plan. And so what does that mean? A lot of employers actually offer health savings account as part of your benefits when you work for a company. Some offer flexible spending accounts, which are similar but not as good as health savings accounts. So in order to qualify for this type of account, you have to have this high deductible plan. And you might be thinking, well, gee, I don't participate in high deductible plan. I barely have any deductibles. So the minimum deductible your plan has to have in order for you to be able to open this account, either with your employer or on individual basis. So the deductible has to be $1,250 for an individual and $2,500 for a family. Okay, so if your plan has that kind of deductible, and it could be more, but at least you meet that minimum, you can open you can open this HSA or health savings account. Okay, now as far as contributions go, so let's say you do have this account and it has $1,250 deductible and you're a single person. Well, and let's say you didn't have any expenses that you needed to pay. What's good about this and how this could benefit you in retirement is that in 2015, you're allowed to contribute $3,350 into that account. And if you don't use the funds, they just stay there and continue to grow. And so I'll talk about the options in just a little bit of how you can actually invest the money, because there are different types of these accounts. So again, just to repeat, for an individual, you can contribute $3,350 in 2015. And if you have a family, then they can also be incorporated into this account. And so therefore, your contributions go to double the amount, which would be $6,650. And there's another little benefit if you are over 55. Remember, just like in the 401k or an IRA type of account, you are allowed to have this catch-up provision. So that means you can contribute an additional $1,000. Okay, so that's as far as how the structure of it goes. So you got to have this high deductible plan, but it doesn't seem like it's a very, very huge amount, so at least $1,250 in 2015. Now, we have Jim has a radio show coming up on September 1st. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jim. September 1st on your radio blog at 8 a.m. Eastern, 11 Pacific, and he's talking to...
Reverse those times, Anna.
I'm sorry, yes, reverse the times. So it's on September 1st, and I'll post the link so that everybody can see it. But he's talking to one of the providers, and they're called HSA administrators. Now, I mentioned earlier I was going to cover investment options. So these accounts could be invested in various vehicles. For example, one and I actually personally have an HSA account because I happen to have a high deductible health insurance plan. So
right.
my account is with a company called HSA Bank, and it's really just a savings account that has a little bit of interest that they're paying me on that account. So I have a debit card and I have checks that I can write whenever I need to cover my expenses. Now, there's if we're referring to the question that was asked earlier, well, how can I use this to benefit me in retirement, well, that means that we probably have some time on our hands. So therefore, maybe we should think about investing the monies in these accounts, as opposed to keeping it like I do in the savings type of account, because I need to use the funds, so I don't have that longer term goal. But for this particular question, and so HSA Administrators is a provider who offer our favorite types of investments, and which are exchange traded funds provided by Vanguard. And so I think they're also known to be a first dollar in. So that means that the first dollar you contribute to that account will be invested in one of the Vanguard exchange traded funds. So I encourage you to join Jim for his interview with that particular company to talk, so that they can explain to us how and what are the details of that account. But I think it's a great opportunity for everyone. And even if you just start with one account, just like I have, that's already it's already a one step forward. So yeah, Jim, we're looking forward to your interview on September 1st.
Thank you, Anna.
Okay, now I think you're ready for your question.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a tough one. I just have that feeling.
Okay, so the question is this: what do you think of leaps to hedge the market, since I think it's going to fall? So I think we're talking about market timing here.
Well, we probably are, but we do get questions on occasion when we haven't convinced our clients or our prospects that it's very difficult to time the market. The financial services industry has come up with more and more products to solve more and more problems, whether they're real or imagined. But it's easy because there's two emotions involved in investing that primarily motivate people to do something. That's fear or greed. In this case, it's fear. It's a fear of something happening like 2001, 2002, after the tech bubble burst, or in 2008 after the credit crisis, when the market went down a considerable amount. And although people may not know in advance when the market's going to go down, you can buy some securities called options. And options are the right either to buy or to sell a particular security. So it could be an individual stock, or it could be a stock index. In this case, the client who wrote in was talking about a stock index leap. And just think of a leap as a long-term option of 1 or 2 years, rather than most options that trade on the Chicago Board of Options. It only those only last 6 to 9 months. For a longer period of time against a market meltdown, then you could buy what's called a put option. A put option versus a call option is that you have the right to buy an index at a higher price than what it may have fallen to. So you have to pay a price to buy these options. And an example I was looking at earlier today was someone had a $250,000 index in the S&P 500. They had that much in the index. And if they wanted to hedge it, it would cost them about $2,000 to buy enough put options to be able to sell it at a higher price than if the market fell. But it had to fall at least $8,000 to be, quote, in the money, which is a technical term, meaning you don't get anything back if the market hasn't fallen much further. But you never make up 100% of your loss. And I ask people to think of buying an option, a put option, as an insurance premium, that you get some of your money back from the loss. Now, I know it's difficult to explain in a small amount of time that we have, but I have two sources that people can look at. And the first source is fidelity.com. They've got a good section on leaps. So if you just typed in Google leapsfidelity.com, you'd get to the article. The other one is Investopedia. It's very similar to Wikipedia. And if you typed in Leaps Investopedia, there would be another article explaining that too. But I discourage people from buying options to hedge a position, because if the market doesn't go down dramatically in the time period that your option is effective for, in other words, it drops the day after your option expired, you've just wasted money. And in most cases, the people that manufacture the option wins versus the people that purchase these options. I know that's a long answer to a short question, but it's the best I can do in this time. Did Anna?
That's good, Jim. Thank you. Okay. There we go. I've got my Periscope here. All right. So it doesn't look like we have any questions on our chat here through YouTube. So, okay, let's continue. We have some viewers, so maybe they'll come in through as we go.
I have a question for you, Anna. One of our clients wrote in, is my daughter's going to college this fall. What expenses besides tuition, room and board can I pay out of her 529 plan?
Okay, great question. Well, so full disclosure, I used to volunteer / work for a Maryland 529 college savings plan. So I used to go out and do presentations and go to various pairs and educate consumers about the 529 plans. So I like this question. Okay, there's something called qualified higher education expenses. So if you think of a 529 plan, it's one of those accounts that many parents save for to pay for college expenses for many years. And then when the time comes, you have a laundry list of various expenses that you wonder whether you can apply those funds or not, because the funds that come out of 529 plans are tax-free. So all the time that you've been saving, they grew tax-free if you use the funds for these qualified higher education expenses, and IRS defines those kinds of expenses. So there's a list that they came up with, and so if you use funds out of that account for these specific expenses, then there will be no penalty. There's a 10% penalty if you use it for the wrong type of expense, and there's also a tax bite, and it's usually at ordinary income tax rate. Okay, so I'll give you some of the examples of what are those qualified expenses. Typically, tuition, room and board are covered, but sometimes, okay, so you get your child to college, and so they have their room and board. Now, some things like, okay, getting them sheets for the room, or maybe buying a mini fridge or something. Some things that you need to set up their room. So it might not work, or it might not qualify for that category. It might not be approved. But if these kinds of expenses are something that the university requires, and if the university had to charge you for those things, then you can argue that that could qualify as a higher education expense. Okay, now books, course materials, calculators, and things like that are typically covered and allowed to be paid from the 529 plans. Now, computers. So a lot of times, and we live in such a modern world that we're streaming on one device, on this, 2-3 devices at a time, and we practically live on our computers. Now, again, it has to be that it is required by a specific course that the student is taking, that they have to have a computer. So if it's not the case, then most likely that computer is not allowed to be bought with 529 monies. A lot of times you send your children to college somewhere far away, and so you might wonder whether a plane ticket or a train ticket might be covered. Unfortunately, that's one of those things that it's a big no. Okay, two other categories to kind of think about: meal plans and health plans. So if the university or college requires you to buy a meal plan and your child is living on campus, or if the university or college is requiring you to buy a health plan, it may, again, it's one of those questions, it may be covered if there is a strict requirement that the student must have these. If it's really not strictly defined and it's more of one of those, you could have it, it's nice to have, then it's going to be hard to prove that this was a qualified expense. And so remember, if it's not, it's a 10% penalty, and it's taxed at ordinary income tax rate. So I just hate for you to lose that benefit, because I'm sure you've gained quite a bit in that savings account, 529 college savings account. So use it wisely. That's my suggestion. And I will be posting a link on our at the bottom of our video that has these examples, so you can take a look. Copy that, Jim?
I do.
Right.
We're running a little late, Anna, and my next appointment is already online to talk to me, so I'm going to have to run.
Oh, gee. Okay, Jim. Well, there you go. I know we started a little bit late because we had a little bit of a technology challenge here, but we managed, I think. So yes, go ahead and continue with your appointment. And it doesn't look like we have any questions. So if they come in, I guess we'll answer them offline. I will see you, Jim, next month at same time, same place. And so enjoy your weekend.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Thank you, everybody.
All right, take care.